Hello, neighbor. I'm Robert Burns, and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. Today, it's my distinguished pleasure to have Mr. Jake Morgan joining us. He is the president of the Baton Rouge Firefighters. You'll see the cap, local number. In fact, we'll zoom in, local 557. There we go. Now, just like you, for those of you who aren't familiar with giving testimony at the Louisiana legislature, when a piece of legislation comes up and you want to testify, you fill out a green card if you're in favor, a red card if you are opposed, and a white card if you are providing information only. Everyone should view Mr. Morgan today as filling out a white card. He is officially neutral on the proposal to merge EMS with the Baton Rouge Fire Department. However, he is here to give us some facts. And from what I'm told, some of those facts may be counter to what Mr. Walter Beach has stated. He's been a guest for us on 2 prior episodes. So with that, there's your introduction. Mr. Morgan, you take the floor. It's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to, I guess, give some facts. As the president of Local 557, we have a great relationship with the mayor's office and with the fire chief's administration. So we've been included in a lot of these conversations. A little bit about me. I've been a fireman for the city of Baton Rouge for 13 years. I was elected the union president a little over 2 years ago. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. Challenging at times, but it's important work, and I do enjoy it. How we got here, this initiative came from the mayor's office. I wasn't privy to those talks as to why, but there's some shortfalls with the Department of EMS. Nothing against them. I mean, we work hand in hand together with the boots on the ground, so to speak, with the people who ride the trucks, and we've always gotten along great. But there's just been a lot of unhappiness and things like that amongst these people. So this decision came out the mayor's office. He tasked the fire chief with moving forward with this merger. It was looked at through the parish attorney's office, through bond attorneys, and then there is an active lawsuit with this from the other side. The coalition has an attorney, the EMS coalition, which is fine, not a problem. Judge is looking at it to decide whether a department can take over another department inside this parish without having to go to a vote of the people, or if there needs to be a vote of the people. Perfectly, I'm all for it. Let's make sure this thing's legal, right?
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about the public and the service provided. That's why we're paid.
And that's Judge Don Johnson, who is the judge in that suit, if I remember right. And I believe he issued a ruling saying there's going to be a 90-day pause or to that effect at this point. So for right now, everything's kind of put on hold for 90 days. Is that your understanding?
Yes, I actually think it might be a little longer than that. I think the tentative court date is as far as March of next year, but it can be sooner. I think both attorney sides were challenged with creating briefs, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if that's as thick as a Bible. I don't know
there's nothing brief about most briefs.
Right. So, I listened to the podcast that you did with Mr. Walter Beach, and I've been a part of this thing the whole time, along with EMS's representation. We've come to the table over 6 times to talk through this thing, paint the picture of what it could look like. There are concerns, but there are massive benefits. And that's why we're neutral, right? We are the fire association. We represent all the fire employees inside the Baton Rouge Fire Department. If they come under us, naturally we will represent them, and they fall under everything we get through state laws and civil service protection. So I just want to give some facts after listening to that podcast.
Absolutely.
So bear with me, I took some notes. Mr. Walter referred to the reason for this merger was to reduce redundancies. That's not going to be the correct word. Really, he said it was to pay for things like Band-Aids and medical supplies. No, this is about efficiency. So we have the ability in the fire department, we have a special services division, we have a mechanic division where those services are contracted out for EMS. So station maintenance, vehicle maintenance, DPW handles that for EMS. We can potentially do all that work in-house. EMS has a tremendous amount of fleet maintenance. They're changing oil once a month on all their units. It's a lot of maintenance. So as far as cost savings, that is, I believe the mayor's office believes there will be cost savings, but that's not the reason why. And I'll get into that. He referred to invest in EMS. Okay, EMS has a $50 million surplus in the bank.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how much more money they need. What they need is personnel. So when you look at it, what is the reason why they don't have the personnel that they need, right? There's clearly a problem. Fire department should only be requested by EMS. This one really got me.
Okay.
Okay, because we're all EMTs in the Baton Rouge Fire Department that ride the fire trucks.
Okay.
So we are at the same medical level as their EMTs, right? Then you got advanced, and we have a lot of advanced EMTs in our fire department as well, and we even have a few paramedics. Okay, but as a fireman for 13 years, I've been there, and when it comes to a serious call, a trauma, a shooting, a stabbing, a heart attack, a cardiac arrest, a respiratory arrest, COPD, congestive heart failure, we get there quicker, and there's a lot of reasons that EMS doesn't get there as quick. It's not their fault. But we get there quicker. We got more trucks, more spread out throughout the city, and we just have faster response times. That's the nature of the fire service nationwide. But you have 4 EMTs that are showing up on scene to provide that life-saving care that we're able to string along that patient until EMS gets there to provide the higher level of service.
Okay.
So if you don't have fire trucks showing up on these calls, that patient is not going to make it. We're getting there. We're stopping bleeding. We're doing chest compression, CPR, and we're able to contribute to saving these patients. So the fact that the fire truck shouldn't show up, I don't know if he doesn't realize that we're EMTs, but we save a tremendous amount of lives.
Great.
And all we do is EMS gets there, and we're like, thank God you're here, right? Because we're a team, and then they take the patient. They work the patient all the way to the hospital, and it's a great model. So I'm not sure what he means by that.
All right.
Let's see. So-called benefits. Okay, so the Baton Rouge Fire Department, and look, and it goes way before me, but we have managed we've done very well for ourselves with benefits throughout the fire service. Mm-hmm. We have a collective bargaining agreement with the mayor's office and with the fire chief. So, in the public safety world, that's kind of the gold standard of employee rights. We get a voice at the table anytime there's any proposed change or ideas for the fire service. We get to make those decisions. Mm-hmm. Our employee rights have gotten so robust just through great union activity throughout the decades. State laws. We have a lot of state laws in the state constitution that are protected. Fire employee rights. All that stuff's in our contract, and we've met with the EMS representation and shown them by you guys becoming a fire employee. That's the key to this whole thing. Is that if the EMS division, they come under the fire department, well, as an EMS division, they come under the fire department, they're not classified in civil service law as a fire employee. So now they get overnight everything that took us 30, 40 years to get. All of a sudden they're a fire employee, boom, they get it. Wow. And it's not that, and let me clear the air too, there's a lot of references going around that this fire EMS merger model does not work across the country. And I don't disagree with that. The difference here is that it's a separate division, and we still have the fire service. So the firemen are not going to be required to ride EMS. EMS is not required to ride a fire truck. They're staying completely separate. So your quality of care is not changing. It's the same paramedics, the same EMTs on those ambulances that are providing the service that they've always had. EMS has done a great job of securing what's called a CAS certification. That's an abbreviation, and I don't know what it stands for, but I read the document, and it is the gold standard of emergency service care throughout the country. EMS has it. There's only two providers in the state of Louisiana that carry that, and that's EMS, Baton Rouge EMS, and Acadian. Nobody else has it. So nobody wants to jeopardize that. That's the best thing, the best certification for the residents of this parish. That has got to stay, and it will. Okay, that was the first thing that the fire chief looked at. If this thing happens, will that be jeopardized? They looked into it. The answer is no. Okay, so that's the utmost important. Let's see, state pay. We talked about state pay. State pay was originally designed for police and fire, the way it was worded. There's been some changes over the years. We looked at it with an attorney. If the merger were to happen, some EMS employees could apply for it, and that's the $7,200 a year that the state gives for hazard pay. If the employees that would get it right now, the language would need to change statewide for all EMS employees to get it. But if an EMS employee has got Firefighter 1 certification and a couple other qualifications, they could apply for it through the Supplemental Pay Board. Those employees more than likely would get it because there's been precedent set throughout the state. But what we would like to see, and what the state pay movement, and Mr. Walter talked about that, what we would like to see with it is no extra certifications for EMS personnel. If you're an EMT or a paramedic, you get it, okay? Because these guys are coming to the same calls we are. They're risking life. Anytime you go code 3, put those lights and sirens on and drive through Baton Rouge and through this parish, it can be dangerous, right? But they're coming on the fire scenes with us. They're coming on the side of the roads, on the highways with us. They're at jeopardy too. So the will of last year's legislature, when we were there, whenever this state pay proposition for EMS workers came up, the will of the legislature was to give it to them.
Okay.
But there's a $20 million price tag because now you're giving it to all municipal EMS services throughout the state of Louisiana. So $20 million price tag, they balked at it, right? And there is this audit going on looking at it, so they kind of want to see where that falls with this subcommittee looking at this.
Okay.
But the will, I mean, they said it on record, the will of this committee is to give EMS personnel state pay. $20 million price tag. So we're getting closer and closer. And in my pea brain, if they're part of the fire service, that only helps their argument, right, to get state pay.
Makes sense.
Let's see. And we've always had a very strong presence at the state legislature. We always have a group of firemen from across the state that are there every day looking out for the fire service across the entire state, right? We look at all the bills every year. We mark down what could potentially affect us, and we talk about it, and we lobby appropriately. So we're there. We got a strong presence. Everybody knows who we are. That's a huge strength, because a wise man once told me at state legislature, if you're not at the table eating, then you're getting eaten. Okay, so it's important to be there.
He was wise.
Yes, sir.
He was wise.
Mr. Walter stated that he hasn't heard of an EMT that wanted this. Well, the reason for that is because he doesn't work for EMS and he's not a resident of this parish. Okay, we have heard from him. There's fear of retaliation throughout that department. So you have your great employees that just stay quiet because they just want to be left alone. Okay. Do they see the benefits? 100% they see the benefits. But it's also scary. And let me flip the script and set the record. If EMS was taking over the Baton Rouge Fire Department, we would be acting the same way. We would be expressing concern. We would be questioning legality. We would be worried. I understand that. I got no problem with that. I think that's the right way to be, right? Be cautious. Change is scary. So I understand that, and that's one of the reasons why we're neutral on this thing. Because there are some questions that aren't written down, firm in law as far as the answers. So it's just kind of a trust thing. And I get not wanting to trust people that you don't know. I understand. But and then also, I can somewhat speak for the fire chief and for our organization as well. If there was a thought that we were going to hurt the service provided by EMS or the people that work for EMS, this wouldn't even be considered. Okay. So it's, we feel confident about this. But like I said, I get it. The merger idea is ridiculous for a city fire department to take over a parish entity. What's not being talked about is our city fire department already has agencies that respond parish-wide and even multi-parish-wide. We have a hazmat division that goes all over the state of Louisiana when requested. We have an arson division that assists in investigations throughout this entire parish and outside of this parish. Even our fire trucks are requested outside of this parish. It's not uncommon for us to respond to West Baton Rouge on fires. We've responded to Livingston. I mean, we go all over. We're mutual aid, and we're a big department, and we have good manpower. So when there's something big going on, we're requested. Fire chief sends the trucks. No problem. Let's help out everybody when we can. So this idea that a city entity cannot take over a parish entity is not correct. And then to talk about the money, the dedicated funding, right? That is their money. It's staying their money. The only people who can change EMS's dedicated funding is the voting public. It's a millage. It's dedicated to them. It's got to stay with them. That's not even being considered. You know, the mayor's on record addressing this, the fire chief's on record addressing this, and both of them are saying this is not a money grab. This is about efficiency and solving employee hiring problems and retention problems at EMS. And that's where the fire service can help because of our state laws, our benefits, our collective bargaining agreement. We can make a public safety job much more appealing. I'm not kidding when I say our contract is one of the most robust contracts, including all of our state laws in the country. We have got great benefits and great state laws. And for a right to work state, we've done pretty well for ourselves. So we're pretty happy, and we don't have a problem hiring. Let's see. The funds cannot be mixed. I addressed that. We know that's not being considered. That was just a rumor going around, a concern. Mr. Walter stated, considered consolidating fire departments in the whole parish. Well, there's 11 of them, and they all have dedicated millages, so that's going to be impossible. So you would have to have a vote of, I say it's 11, I believe there's 11, I counted them up. Baton Rouge, St. George, Baker, Eastside, Brownsfield, Zachary, Pride, District 6, Cheneyville, Central. I mean, there's a bunch. So they all have dedicated millages throughout the decades. They all have their own funding, and once again, the only people who can change dedicated funding is the voting public. So it's impossible. It's just not going to happen. So that's not being considered. We're not taking over the parish fire service. EMS provides a great service. Agree 100%. What they need is employees. What's not being talked about is for the last 5 or so years, our firefighters have been asked to ride these ambulances to keep them in service.
Oh, okay.
So if everything's on the up and up, why are they going outside of their department and asking for help manning their ambulances to keep them on the street?
Good question.
So yeah, I mean, it is a good question. So I'll let anybody willing to answer that. You know, we worked side by side for 30 plus years with EMS. You know, we're kind of brothers and sisters. You know, the fire service is all about that brotherhood and sisterhood, and we view EMS that same way, you know. To address, and this one was just straight up offensive, but to mix firemen with EMS is dumbing down EMS. That was stated, okay? That's just straight offensive. I mean, like I said, we've rode their trucks for the last 5 years. EMS is still today talking about how great their service is, and I agree. So for the last 5 years, we've been contributing to that, right? And we're EMTs. I mean, we're at their minimum level of their employees, but we're at that same level. And like I said, a lot of our guys have even moved into the advanced level where they're allowed to start IVs and line sets and that kind of stuff, and you're getting into the medicine side of it. Yeah, we're all EMTs. Mr. Walter says that he advocates for all EMTs, right? He stated that. Well, we got about 420 of them, okay? We don't bring in any income. People look at us as a burden. That was stated in the last podcast. An entity that is built off of tax dollars that has a large surplus of dollars, to me, is overcharging the public. Okay. So, and that goes for any of them. I mean, you look at these large bank accounts for these dedicated funds throughout the parish, and they have multi hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever it is, in their bank account. Well, something's not right. The public's paying those taxes. They're getting the service, you know, nothing against the service. A lot of our parks, our libraries, these are gold standard services, and so is EMS. But if they have these large bank accounts and they're already providing the gold standard service, to me it looks like there's some overcharging going on. And if you want to talk about being a good steward, you need to go have that conversation with the mayor's office if you truly care about the public and say, look, we need to give some of this money back. That doesn't happen. But we're not in the business of making money, okay? Our local 557 over the last 25 years has secured almost $29 million to pay us with through dedicated funding. We have 2 millages, and that money is only used for salaries and benefits. So without us advocating for the fire service, where would this parish be? There'd be a $29 million shortfall to have a fire service inside of this parish. That's a whole nother political issue. But we've basically secured money to pay ourselves with. So I think that's pretty good stewardship.
Well, and to your point on that, one of the things he brought out is where are you going to get the taxes from? He said, you know, taxes aren't being passed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a recent millage for Baton Rouge Fire that passed by a margin of, I don't know, close to 70%?
It was 68%.
I was close.
Yes, sir. You're very close. Yeah, that was last year. That was our big push. That was our second millage. You know, we were very much behind on pay. Or across the region, you know, regional comparison, we were very much behind. So that brought us up to where we needed to be, and we were extremely thankful for that the public saw the need for us to bring up our pay, and that made us very happy. So, yeah, very thankful for that. Mr. Beach talked about a failed millage. We've never had a millage fail. I think what he was referring to was we had a rollback last year. So every 4 years, as properties taxes are assessed, millages, property millages come up for a potential roll forward or rollback. The council voted to roll back all of the public safety millages, well, except for 3 departments that are governed by fire boards and not the Metro Council. Those fire boards agreed to roll their millages forward. Okay. So as property values increase, these millages come up. Naturally, if you're paying the same mills, what you pay in property taxes goes up because your value goes up.
Sure.
But the council decided to roll us back. We didn't lose a dollar. We just didn't get the bonus points of property values going up, which is very important because cost only goes up. Everybody knows the inflation has just been eating up the dollar, right? Well, that happens in the fire service too. And when we talk about stewards of money, we have been pinched because the cost of fire trucks has risen roughly 40% since COVID, and the costs have not come down. And there's a congressional hearing going on right now. Senator Josh Hawley is leading the charge to address monopolies. I know in the last video you talked about monopolies.
That's his biggest kick. That's what EMS reform that he founded is based on. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. But the monopolies is happening in the fire truck industry. There's 3 organizations that control like 70 or 80% of the fire truck manufacturing throughout this country, and the prices have not gone down. So an engine truck used to cost, say, $600,000, well now they're 900 and something thousand. A ladder truck is pushing $2 million. Whoa. One truck. So if our budget doesn't go up, it gets harder and harder to buy these trucks. And then you get behind on purchasing trucks, and all of a sudden you're in a bind. You got to go to the city and ask for money. Well, guess what? The city of Baton Rouge doesn't have money. So we're kind of in a pickle right now. But you know, it hasn't affected us yet. Hopefully there's some decisions that can be made to address this before it truly is a problem. Okay. But that's a whole nother, you know, that's
another segment.
And
you're welcome to come back for another segment. Anybody's welcome anytime. So you did fantastic. Keep going.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The potential merger really was brought about all about the idea of helping EMS. Okay, there's not a tremendous benefit for the fire service in this. The benefit is all on the EMS side. Once again, understand if you don't want it, change is scary. It's basically an offer. Okay, I do think we could solve some problems if it were to happen. It's not a money grab. There's no cuts in service for the public. That's all staying the same. That or EMS will still service the whole parish if the merger does happen. Okay, that's not changing. EMS stays the same. Nobody's losing their job. Okay, the fire chiefs made that very clear. Fire employees, that fire employee word is the key to this whole thing, right? If you're classified as a fire employee, then all of a sudden you get the chest of goodies with all our fire rights and benefits. The merger would be too expensive. That's not the case because no money's changing, right? EMS's money's staying there, our money's staying here. It's not, so how could it be more expensive if the services are staying the same, the employees' jobs are staying the same, and the money's staying the same? There is no cost change. I addressed earlier, but stop sending firefighter EMTs to ambulance calls. I put firefighter EMTs to remind the public that we are EMTs.
Yes.
Okay. Well, to answer that question, the public is not going to survive stuff that they're surviving today if the fire truck doesn't go to the call, and that's guaranteed. Leave EMS alone, start your own EMS. We don't want a new EMS. We want the same EMS. Okay, we don't want that. I want to make that clear. Nobody is looking to take over EMS to change EMS. We're just trying to make the job look more appealing to where it increases your hiring potential. So we have something in the fire service called a fast track hire. What that means is that we can take in firefighters from other departments, and they can just kind of do a 2-3 week briefing on the way we operate, and they can come and be firefighters for Baton Rouge. And once we got our 19% pay raise, we had a tremendous amount of fast trackers come over to Baton Rouge. So the one thing we were lacking was pay. Well, we got that now. You know, EMS does receive a little percent raise every year, and we do too. It's a 3% pay raise. We get that. But the issue is their pay scale. They hire on. It's a step pay scale. So step 1 through step 21 is the way the fire service does it. You get a 3% step every year. EMS currently hires their employees on at step 13. And their pay scale goes to step 19. So within 5 years, their employees are topped out on pay. So now you have a 5-year guy making the same pay as, I don't know, a 15-year guy. That kills morale, right? So in the fire service, there's a law for a minimum state 2% raise every year. From your 3rd year of hire to the 23rd year of service, they have to give you a minimum 2%.
Okay.
We go a little bit above that by doing a 3%, but to me the most important thing is to start them out at a true step 1 to where they get their pay raise all the way through step 23. And the idea is that come your 23rd year, hopefully you've made a few promotions, to where your pay is keeping up where it should be. I believe the mayor's office and EMS is working right now, whether there's a merger or non-merger, they're working on getting to that point. But if they come under the fire service, it's guaranteed, because now they're that fire employee. Merger would put EMS on the same playing field as fire. I think this was to your point. You had a little proponent part in your last interview. And I agree, yes, merger would put EMS on the same playing field as fire because of that fire employee name change in civil service law. And that's where your pay scales, your collective bargaining contract, your leave, your vacation, your holidays, all that stuff's in contract. And we would assist EMS because it's not going to be quite the same as us, the way we operate. And I've explained to their leadership that I don't want to dictate the way you guys operate. You just tell me the way you want to operate and we'll get it put in our contract to where if there's a mayor change, if there's a departmental head change at EMS, they can't just change up your whole livelihood, right? It's in a contract to where they can't just walk in and change the way you like doing things. It's got to be negotiated. That's the beauty of the collective bargaining agreement. Mr. Walter said that don't quote me on this, but EMS has 20 paramedics that graduated. There was 10. Which is great. EMS needs them desperately, but that was half of what was quoted. So I just wanted to get that straight on the record. Mr. Walter talked about wanting to be placed on the council agenda. He is not an employee of EMS. He is not a resident of East Baton Rouge Parish. I don't know where he's getting the information from, but he hasn't been in all the transition meetings that we have, and EMS has. We have had these discussions at length and answered all of these questions that have come up from the EMS side. So that information has been relayed. If it's not being relayed to the employees of EMS, I can't answer why that is, but we've done our part of answering that. And then it comes down to the question of why do it, right? Well, we feel confident you can get better pay. We know the employees can get better benefits, the collective bargaining agreement, contracted work rights, no cross training. EMS will not be asked to ride the fire truck. The firemen will not be asked to ride the ambulances. Better employee protections through a better civil service law system. And it all just makes for a better job, which helps your recruiting. I mean, that's what's worked for the fire service all these years. We talked about the 18-month process and how that is long, and that is correct, that is long. But the way civil service law works, there has to be, EMS employees would have to move over into our civil service system because they're currently in a city parish civil service system. We have a municipal police and fire civil service system.
Oh, okay.
So there's got to be a transfer into our system, and it takes some time. And then the state examiner of Louisiana would have to create job classifications for EMS to move them over into our system. It's kind of complicated, but it is projected that once you get the green light for this thing, if it happens, it could take anywhere from a year up to 18 months to get it all finalized to where they are certified in our civil service system. Okay. So it is a long process, but that's government for you, right? Nothing happens fast. Sending fire trucks to EMS calls doesn't do anything. Once again, that's completely insulting. That's insulting for firemen all across this country because every one of us has saved lives. We've done the chest compressions. We've held bleeding wounds. We've administered oxygen whenever somebody can't breathe. Shown up for allergic reactions, vehicle wrecks, right? We've cut people out of cars. that's what we do, and that's what we look forward to doing every time we jump on that fire truck. So to say that we don't do anything, in my words, it's just ignorant. I mean, I think that even the people that ride EMS, they appreciate us getting there because it helps that patient survivability, right? And that's why we all do it. Mm-hmm. So that's really what I have. I just wanted to set the record straight on that podcast. Once again, we are neutral, but we know there's benefits, and if it happens, we'll get to work on the promises that we made. But if it doesn't happen, then it's fine. I completely respect that, and we'll move on, and hopefully both organizations succeed.
Certainly. Well, I think it's very obvious that you took extensive notes from Mr. Beach's, both of his presentations, particularly the last one. I want to compliment you on coming in so prepared, and you were quite articulate in making your points. Just like with him, you are more than welcome to come back at any time. The door is always open. For this or any other matter. That's why Sound Off was formed. If there's anybody else out there that is pro or con, the invitation stays open. I certainly want to thank Mr. Morgan for coming in. I think the more knowledge we have of anything like this, the more we're ensured the right decision is ultimately made. And I think he's made some compelling counter arguments to things that Mr. Beach stated, and that's why we have this, is so that we can get either opinions or facts. I think that Mr. Morgan is in a position to have facts. In fact, I know he is. So I just want to thank you so much. This is Friday, so want to wish everyone a very happy weekend. I want to thank everyone for their dedication and tuning into these Sound Off features, and we'll just continue to travel down this road. I'm sure there'll be other features, and if you want back, I would be more than happy to have you, because you've been one of the most prepared guests that I've had that has shown up. So I want to thank you. I hope you have a very happy weekend.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
You're quite welcome.